Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a giant ballpark deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this one for you guys because this deck is an extremely powerful insect deck that can play all sorts of really cool insect cards to help you go in for game. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name scratched in every single video, getting get signed cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing 3 copies of Shiny Black Sea. It's really important to be able to play 3 of a kind of the normal monsters in this deck for your copy of Giant Ballpark, and this card is the best option because it comes out at 2,000 attack points and 0 defense points, so this card is the best summon in the entire insect archetype to be able to summon out to your side of the field because it is an insect normal monster. We then play 3 copies of Resonant Insect. This card is definitely a 3 of in the build, as this card is if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can actually add a level 5 or higher insect monster from your deck to your hand, and if this card is banished, you can actually send an insect type monster from your deck to the graveyard, except another copy of this card, which is a great ability to get the exact card that you need from your deck to your hand, or send the exact card you need to the graveyard. We then play 3 copies of Infinite. This card is really good as a 3 of in the deck and probably one of my favorite cards in the entire deck because it helps us summon out our copy of our ultimate great insect. But this card is really good as it has the effect that once per turn at the start of the damage step, when an insect monster battles, you can actually target 1 card that you control and 1 card your opponent controls and destroy them. And you'll use each of the following effects of this card once per turn, that when an opponent's monster declares an attack, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if this card is normal or special summon, you can equip an insect monster from your hand or graveyard to this card as a equip spell that gives it 500 attack and defense points, making it super easy to summon out one of our boss monsters, Ultimate Great Insect, which is such a powerful card. We then play 3 copies of Dragon Bite. Dragon Bite is really good in this deck as a 3 of as well because this card has the ability, when this card is normal summon, you can actually special summon a level 4 or lower insect monster from your hand, which is a great ability just to help you turbo out an additional monster to your side of the field. You can also banish a level 4 or lower insect monster from your hand, graveyard, or face from the field, and then target 1 face-up monster that you control and increase its level by the level of the banished monster, helping you get the exact level that you need so you can go in for synchro plays, which is really cool. We then play 3 copies of Retaliating Sea. Retaliating Sea is really good in this deck as a 3 of hand trap, but also as a 3 of monster in this particular build. Because when your opponent activates a spell card that includes an effect that special summons a monster, quick effect, you can special summon this card in your hand. And if summoned this way, while this card is face up on the field, any card sent to the graveyard is banished instead, which is a pretty cool effect. And if this card is sent from the field to the grave, you can actually add 1 earth insect monster with 1500 or less attack from your deck to your hand, getting the exact card that you need. We then play 3 copies of Parasite Paranoid. Parasite Paranoid is amazing as a 3 of in the deck because this card helps us summon out so many different boss monsters because quick effect, you can actually target a face-up monster on the field and equip this card from your hand to that target. The equipped monster becomes an insect monster and cannot attack other insect monsters. Also, its effects that are activated by targeting insect monsters are negated. And you can only use this card's effect once per turn, but if the equipped monster is sent from the field to the grave, you can actually special summon a level 7 or higher insect monster from your hand, ignoring its summoning conditions, which is a great ability because I have some really cool boss monsters you can actually summon off this card's effect. We then play 2 copies of Gokipole. Gokipole is really cool as a 2 of in the build to work with your copy of Giant Ballpark. As if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can actually add a level 4 insect monster from your deck to your hand. Then if you added a normal monster, you can special summon it to your side of the field. Then you can destroy 1 monster on the field with attack greater than or equal to the special summon monsters, helping you pop a card on the field by searching out your copy of Shining Black Sea. We then play 2 copies of Bio Insect Armor. This card is really cool and actually based around basic insect, which is just really neat. This card has the ability, if this card is in your hand or grave and you do not control a copy of this card, you can actually target an insect monster you control and equip this card to it, but banish it when it leaves the field. Also, banish this equipped card when it leaves the field. You can only use the effect of this card once per turn, but the equipped monster gains 1500 attack and 2000 defense during the battle phase and the main phase 2 only, which is a pretty good effect to help you OTK your opponent. Can actually boost up one of our other boss monsters up to 5,000 attack points, which is absolutely insane. We then play 2 copies of B-Trooper Scale. This card is really good as an extender in the deck, just super easy to summon out to your side of the field. And if an insect monster is normal or special summoned to your field, you can actually special summon this card from your hand, just giving you an additional extender. We then play a single copy of Sting the Poison. Sting the Poison is really good as a 1-of in the build, as if this card is normal or special summoned, you can actually add a Battle Wasp monster from your deck to your hand, except another copy of this card, which is a great ability to be able to search out a copy of Pin the Bullseye. Pin the Bullseye is really good in this deck as a 1-of, as if you control an insect monster, you can special summon this card in your hand, and also during the main phase, you can inflict 200 points of damage to your opponent, which is a great effect to be able to use during time. Then play a single copy of Guard Mantis. Guard Mantis is also a great extender in this particular build, as you can pay 1,000 life points to special summon this card from the hand in defense position, but while it's face up in the monster zone, you cannot special summon monsters except insect monsters, and during your opponent's turn quick effect, you can actually target one insect monster you control and change its battle position. This card comes out with 2,400 defense points, which is absolutely massive. We then play a single copy of Shielded Emperor of the Forest Crown. This card is massive to be able to summon out to your side of the field. This card comes out at 3,400, and this card has the ability to kind of be normal summoned or set. It must be special summoned from your hand or graveyard by banishing 3 insect or plant monsters from your hand and or graveyard, and you can only special summon this card once per turn. Your opponent cannot activate monster effects in response to your spells and traps or effects and activations, and once per turn during the main phase, you destroy all face-up monsters on the field except insect or plant monsters, also so this card cannot attack directly for the rest of the turn. But this card is a massive boss monster that's super easy to summon out to your side of the field. We play a single copy of Metamorphosized Insect Queen. This card is just really classic and nostalgic to be able to play it in the deck because it's based around Insect Queen, and it does generate as tokens, which is pretty cool to be able to do. This card has the ability to kind of be normal summoned or set. It must be special summoned by the another monster's effect, and if an insect monster is on the field, your opponent cannot target insect monsters you control with card effects. Also, they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects either, and at the end of the damage step, if this card attacks, you can actually tribute one monster, and this card can attack an opponent's monster again in a row, and once per turn during the end phase, you can actually special summon an insect monster token that's an insect earth level 1, 0 attack and 0 defense to your side of the field, just to help you fill up the field. And for the last monster of the main deck, we're also playing a single copy of Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth. This card is very easy to summon out to your side of the field with your copy of Parasite Paranoid, and it's just really cool to be able to summon this card out to your side of the field with Cocoon of Ultra Evolution or your copy of Parasite Paranoid, which is just absolutely amazing. Plus, the card is such a classic boss monster, and it's actually my favorite insect monster in the entire game. I know it's a little bit of a brick, but it's just too cool not to play in this deck. And definitely comment down below what your favorite insect monster is. Mine is actually Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth because of its blue color, and it's such a classic boss monster. So, that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, guys, we're going to start with a single copy of Terraforming. Terraforming is definitely a 1-of in the build to be able to search out our copy of Giant Ballpark. We then play 2 copies of Giant Ball Game. This card is definitely a 2-of in the build because this card is the ability during the main phase. If this card was activated this turn, you can actually special summon a level 6 or lower insect monster from your graveyard. You can also reveal one insect monster in your hand and then target one face-up monster that your opponent controls and an insect monster that you control with attack less than the revealed monster, and then you switch control of those monsters, and if you do, that monster that you took control of becomes an insect monster, which is a really cool effect just to basically take control of your opponent's cards. We then play 3 copies of Giant Ballpark. Giant Ballpark is what the entire deck is based around. This card is actually really cool. During the damage calculation, if a player would take battle damage, you can actually make neither player take any battle damage from that battle, and if you do, send a level 4 or lower insect monster from your deck to the graveyard. Then, if you send a normal monster this way, you can special summon any number of monsters with the same name as that monster from your hand, deck, or graveyard, which is a really cool effect to be able to work with their copy of Shiny Black Sea. You can also send your copy of Goki Pole from your deck to the graveyard, which is a pretty cool effect to be able to do with this card as well. And if a monster that you control is sent to the graveyard by an opponent's card effect, except during the damage step, you can actually special summon an insect normal monster from your graveyard, which is why we play Shiny Black Sea, so we can summon it out to our side of the field using our copy of Giant Ballpark. We then play 3 copies of Cocoon of Ultra Evolution. This card is definitely a 3-of in the build to help us summon out all sorts of cool boss monsters like our copy of Perfectly Ultimate Great Moth, and also some really cool cards. This card lets us tribute an insect monster from either player's field equipped with an equip card, and if you do, special summon an insect monster from your deck, ignoring its summoning conditions, and during your main phase, you can actually banish this card from the graveyard, target an insect monster in your grave, shuffle the deck, and then draw a card. This card works really well in this deck with your copy of Parasite Paranoid, but there's a bunch of different cards that actually equip insects to themselves so that you can summon out different boss monsters using this card. This card is amazing as a 3-of and just really cool to be able to play in the deck. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're just going to be playing one, and that's going to be a single copy of Ragnarika Hunting Dance. This card is really good to be able to search off your copy of Mantis Monk, and has the ability to target cards your opponent controls up to the number of different monster types among linked monsters that you control that are insect, plant, or reptile monsters, and destroy them, which we're only usually popping 1 with this card's effect because we're only going to control an insect. And if a face-up insect, plant, or reptile monster you control is destroyed by battle or by card effect, while this card's in the graveyard, except the turn this card was sent to the grave, you can banish this card, target a monster that your opponent controls, and destroy it, just giving you an additional pop. This card is really good in the deck as 1-of and helps out a lot in this build. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, guys, we're going to start off with 2 copies of Ultimate Great Insect. This card is an amazing 2-of in the build and super easy to summon out to your side of the field, as all you have to do to summon out this card to your side of the field is tribute an insect monster with 2,000 or more defense equipped with an equip card, making it super easy to summon out this card because you don't even have to fusion summon, you can just summon it out that way, which is amazing. Also, it cannot be destroyed by battle, and once per turn during the battle phase, if a face-up card is in the spell or in the field spell zone, quick effect, you can destroy all monsters that your opponent controls, basically Raigeki your opponent during the battle phase, which is amazing. We then play a single copy of the Menacing Mantis. This card is really good as a 1-of in the deck because it's basically a foolish burial when it's summoned out to your side of the field, which is really cool to be able to do. We then play a single copy of Underground Arachnid. This card is basically like a walking relinquished and an awesome old school boss monster to make in this deck, as it has a really cool ability that you can actually once per turn equip an opponent's monster to this card, which is a really cool effect. We play a single copy of Cicada King. Cicada King is amazing to be able to make in this deck because it's a walking negate. 1 copy of Stag Sovereign. This card is amazing in this build because if a monster is special summoned from your opponent's deck or their extract, you can actually destroy 2 monsters on the field non-targeting, and this card can also special summon itself back from your graveyard, which is really cool because you can actually target a insect, plant, or reptile monster that you control, place it on the bottom deck, and if you do, special summon this card, which is a really cool effect. We play a single copy of Giant Bee Trooper Invincible Atlas. This card is amazing and it comes out absolutely massive to your side of the field, which is why I play this card as a 1-of in the deck. We then play a single copy of Axis Code. Axis Code's amazing because it comes out absolutely massive and can buy multiple cards on the field, which is why we're playing this card in the deck. It's one of the only non-insect monsters we play in the entire build. We then play a single copy of Mantis Monk. Mantis Monk is really cool because when it's on your side of the field, you can banish 2 insect, plant, or reptile monsters from your graveyard to add a Ragnarika trap from your deck to your hand, which is a great ability to search out our copy of Hunting Dance. We play a single copy of the Butterfly. This card just basically helps us link climb. This card has a really cool ability. It gains 200 attack for each counter on it, and you can also has the ability, if this card is link summon, you can actually place a counter on this card for each insect monster used for its link summon, and quick effect, you're going to move a counter from this card to special summon a level 4 or lower insect monster from your grave in defense position to be getting an additional monster on your side of the field. We can play 2 copies of Armor Horn. Armor Horn is definitely a 2-of in the build, as this card is really good to be able to play in the deck because during your main phase you can get an additional normal summon an insect monster, and if this card's in the grave you can banish 3 insect monsters other than this card. This special summon this card but banish when it leaves the field. We then play 2 copies of the Insector Link. This card is really good to be able to summon out to your side of the field just to help you recycle your resources. You can target 3 insect monsters in your graveyard, shuffle them in the deck, and then draw a card. We then play a single copy of Alamirage. We play this card for Resonant Insect because we can link away our normal summon of Resonant Insect to search out an additional monster from our deck to our hand, which is really cool. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played a giant ballpark deck before, you should definitely give this deck a try because it's extremely fun to be able to play and relatively budget, which is really nice. I absolutely love playing this deck because it really surprises your opponent when you activate giant ballpark and something like an ultimate great insect. So that's going to do it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell on there so you can become part of the notification squad. We'll see you guys in the next video. So later, guys.